Good afternoon again. Last fight I want to talk about from last night's action would be the fight between Dmitry Chudinov, or Dmitry Nightwolf Chudinov, as he likes to call himself, and Chris Eubank Jr. Now, in my pre-fight video to this fight, I said I didn't want to see Chris Eubank Jr. doing any of this shit. I didn't want to see his dad getting involved and posing in the ring and being a bad end for everyone to see, just to decrease his popularity a little bit more than it already had. You know, what I wanted to see in this fight is I wanted to see Chris Eubank Jr. go out there, box from round one, and be professional. He did it. Yes, he did. You know, there was showboating, yes. You know, there was a lot of showboating, especially towards the end of the fight when it became apparently clear that Eubank Jr. was absolutely miles ahead on the scorecards and was completely dominating Chudinov. But he boxed. That's what I wanted him to do. That's what a lot of fight fans wanted him to do. We didn't want to see the bullshit. We didn't want to see the over explicit dodging, although he did get in the swing of it towards the end, in the middle of rounds when he was doing a lot of this, and it was actually impressive. I can't criticise him too much because I think the whole time he was doing it, Chudinov threw something like 20 or 30 shots, and only actually one of the shots managed to land on Chris Eubank. So, I can't criticise him too much for doing it, but you do that against a Golovkin, you're going to get hit, right? So let's be honest, let's get real. Chudinov's no Golovkin, Chudinov's no Martin Murray, Chudinov's no Andy Lee, he's no Peter Quillin, he's not a Mikhail Cotto either. He's not a top contender, right? You can get away with doing things like that against someone like Chudinov's ability, but he's not going to get away with doing that against a top contender, right? That being said, what a superb performance. The only other criticism I can have is Chris Eubank Sr. in the corner kept on telling Chris Eubank in the earlier rounds to get behind the jab and use his movement before unleashing the combinations. I don't think he did that quite enough for me in the earlier rounds. I could clearly see that what they wanted to do, the game plan is to throw the combination, get Chudinov up close, lean on Chudinov. Chris Eubank was the bigger guy. Lean on Chudinov, try and make him tired, get on him a little bit, try and wear him down. And I think, it was a good tactic, but it was over excessive. In the earlier rounds, I think there was way, way, way too much holding done by Chris Eubank Jr. in the early, kind of first 1 to 5 rounds. When at that time, really, what he should have been doing was just keeping behind his jab. He's got such a quick jab. He could have jabbed Chudinov 3 or 4 times before Chudinov even had a response with the right hand. So I would have liked to have seen in the earlier rounds just a little bit more variety in the jab and move, and then catching Chudinov coming in with the big combinations and the right uppercuts. But I can't really criticise too much. The game plan worked. The boxing was fantastic from Chris Eubank Jr. He never looked in trouble. I mean, Chudinov caught him with a couple of right hands. I think Eubank Jr. was backed up a couple of times very briefly. Never really stunned or dazed though. Just backed up a couple of times by a good right hand. And to be honest, it makes me wonder and it makes me angry. Why is that Liverpool have just scored? No, it was offside. Why did that Chris Eubank Jr. and that corner, more importantly, because the corner from last night in Chris Eubank Jr. Perspective, with his dad actually giving sound advice and his trainer giving sound advice, which is something they didn't do for pretty much the entirety of the Billy Joe Saunders fight. And where was that Chris Eubank Jr. and the Billy Joe Saunders fight? Where was that the jab and the movement and the hold up close and the lean on him bit? Where was those tactics in the Billy Joe Saunders fight? Which kind of makes me think now, looking back on that Billy Joe Saunders fight, do you think Team Eubank were actually gambling too much on the fact that Billy Joe Saunders would get tired? Because now I look back on that fight compared to last night's 12-round display, this is the only thing that I can start to make sense in my head. That they would have gone out with a game plan against Billy Joe Saunders, thinking, okay, don't do a lot in the opening 5, try and make Billy Joe punch himself out a little bit, try and make him work, try and get him moving, and then in the last 6 we'll put it on Billy Joe and we'll stop him, right? Well, Billy Joe Saunders was in absolute shape of his life going into that Chris Eubank Jr. fight. And I think that was there for everyone to see, even in the weeks building up to the fight. It wasn't just the weigh-in, it was public knowledge that Billy Joe Saunders had gone through his best camp of his career going into that fight against Chris Eubank Jr. And like I say, if that's the game plan that they had to try and wear Saunders out a little bit and take him late, then I think that was a bit naive. And I think that was bad planning. And the corner, like I said, the corner for the Billy Joe Saunders fight, from Chris Eubank Jr.'s perspective, was absolutely terrible anyway. You know, it was a torrid. I don't even want to. It just makes me angry. But it was a torrid corner. You know, Chris Eubank Jr. was getting no sound advice from his corner throughout the entirety of that Billy Joe Saunders fight. All right. If that Eubank Jr. showed up last night, showed up against Billy Joe Saunders with that kind of game plan, I'm not saying it would have worked precisely like that. I mean, Billy Joe Saunders is a much better fighter than Dmitry Chudinov. But that kind of game plan might have done Chris Eubank Jr. a lot more justice in that Billy Joe Saunders fight. All right? But hey, this is history now. And also, I think the Billy Joe Saunders fight was fantastic for Eubank. I thought it was fantastic that he lost it, because in a little bit, you know, in comparison with James DeGale, when James DeGale lost to George Groves, which he never did in a million years, in my opinion, I still got James DeGale winning that fight. Just me. Okay? No, it's not just me. There's a lot of other people as well, but that's my opinion. Right? After that fight, James DeGale took a step back, took his pedal off the arrogance and the ego, rebuilt his career through injury, got ready, and look where the position where James DeGale is now. You got people saying James DeGale, you know, he could potentially be the best super middleweight in the world coming years' time. You know, he's got the ability to mix it with an Andre Ward type of figure. He's got the ability to beat a Froch. He's got the ability to beat Groves and get his revenge. He's got the ability to beat anyone at super middleweight now. And now people are seeing that. James DeGale was preaching that years ago, but people weren't seeing it. All they were seeing was his ego and his attitude. All right? And now he's kind of calmed down. He's grown up a little bit and he's focused his career. People are seeing that. People are seeing the talent. People are saying, oh, yeah, you know what? James DeGale, great fighter. He's going to be a world champion, you know. People weren't saying that a few years ago when he fought Groves. People were saying, what, an arrogant bastard. I hope he gets knocked the fuck out. That's what they were saying. You know, majority of people. Not all. James DeGale's always had his supporters, of course, like myself. But majority of people, that's what they were saying. Right? And Eubank Jr., you can't, like I said in my pre-fight video, I'm kind of getting the same impression. I think the Billy Joe Saunders defeat back at the back end of last year would have done Chris Eubank Jr. the world of good, because the performance last night and the corner and the tactics compared to late last year against Billy Joe Saunders was night and day. Right? So I'm hoping now, I want to see Eubank Jr. build on this now. I want to see him continue to box in that manner and get the rounds under his belt and fight the tougher guys and fight the tougher fights. The one thing that did piss me off about Eubank Jr. last night is he came out saying, oh, well, you know, still chasing down the Billy Joe Saunders rematch. You ain't getting the Billy Joe Saunders rematch anytime soon, Eubank, yeah? Listen, Peter Quillin fights Andy Lee in April for the WBO middleweight title. The winner of that fight has to fight Billy Joe Saunders. That fight is more than likely going to be at the earliest September, October, right? And after that, okay, maybe Billy Joe might turn around to a Chris Eubank Jr. at that time and say, you know what, I can do a voluntary, let's get it on. But I doubt he will. I very much doubt he will. I very much think that Billy Joe Saunders, unless it's a big if still, if he did win that title against Quillin or Lee, right, he's going to take a voluntary. Then he's going to take another hard fight against somebody else. He doesn't want to take a step back to fight Eubank Jr. My message from Billy Joe Saunders would be is go get a world title and we'll talk. That's what my message would be. Why else would you bother? I wouldn't. You know, you're a world title holder. You've already beat this dude. Why go back? You know, simple. Might be some money in it, but there's no reason to. And then, like, Chris Eubank Jr. is like, you're still talking Golovkin. Why are you talking Golovkin? Why talk Golovkin? Chris Eubank Jr., you've got good movement, you've got good speed, you've got good power, you've got a good chin. Are you ready for Golovkin? Fucking no. Fuck off. He would look like a deer in headlights if he steps in the ring with Golovkin right now. He really would. I'm not saying he doesn't beat Golovkin in the future. Maybe he does. But, you know, let's look at this realistically. That was only his second 12-round fight. Okay? His best opponent to this date is Billy Joe Saunders, and he lost that fight. No, who else has he fought? Chudinov and Billy Joe Saunders was his best two fighters in his career, and Chudinov was never anything special. Although the guy has got a monstrous chin on him. Grant him that. Quite a great chin. But, seriously now, you got back to fighting last night, Eubank. You got back to excuse me, he got back to boxing, and it was a fantastic display. Now let's just curb the mouth a little bit and focus on fighting. Simple. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Please subscribe, leave me a comment. Enjoy your Sunday. Peace.